Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Joseph Mbele. I teach at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, in the English department. Today is the 13th of February 2021. It's the last day of a short break for me, and I'm looking forward to starting school again on Monday, February 15. And so, as usual, I have a lot of anxieties about the first day of class. I'm going to meet new students. I've never seen them before, and I'm teaching remotely. I'll therefore not have a chance to even meet them physically. So that's another source of anxiety. I've taught the classes, I've taught the books that I'm going to use, many of the books. I'm no stranger to teaching. I've been teaching since 1976 in Tanzania at the University of Dar es Salaam. Taught a little bit at the University of Burundi, a neighboring country. And I've taught for about 30 years here at St. Olaf College. Teaching literature, folklore, and other subjects. And teaching also a course called First Year Writing. I'm no stranger to the classroom, but still, when the new semester comes around, when we are approaching the first day of class, I get anxious. This semester, beginning Monday, I'll be teaching 3 courses. African literature, which I've taught many times. South Asian literature, which I designed and have been teaching for some years here at St. Olaf. And I'll be teaching the first year writing. Again, I'm used to these courses, but it's going to be, new students. So I'm going to think about how to approach this new batch of students. And they come from different parts of the United States and different backgrounds, as usual. I have also some students from other countries, countries like Cambodia, Greece, and Rwanda, and many other places. So for me, issues of the diversity come to mind. What happens in the classroom in a situation like this, where you have students from different backgrounds representing different cultures. How do you do justice to such a diverse group? They have different values, different expectations. I have another video on YouTube in which I talk about my teaching, and the title is simply My Teaching. You can go back and look at it. You can watch it. So this little one that I'm producing today can be seen as a continuation of that. I like to teach very much. As I've always said, I did not choose teaching. For me, it was a calling. I felt a deep desire to be a teacher. I felt I was made for this profession, and I don't consider teaching as a job. I never look at it as a job, and I tell students as much. I was taught at the University of Dar es Salaam, where I did my undergraduate studies in literature and English and education. I was taught that the teacher is in loco parentis. The teacher is in the place of parents. And so teaching is a kind of parenting. It's not a job. And there are many implications to that notion, and I always share them with students. So today, I'm interested in just saying a word about how do I handle, how do I deal with the diversity, the cultural diversity in the classroom. In my previous video, I talked about my belief in academic freedom in the classroom, freedom of expression, freedom of thought. I encouraged students to challenge, themselves, and challenge one another, and challenge me. But now, today, I want to just go back on those notions, which are very good, very lofty. They would seem to be like really good principles. So my question is, it's very easy to look at the students in the classroom, observe their behavior, and then be very impressed by the ones who actually speak, the ones who actually take up this challenge of being vocal, being critical, challenging whatever we say in the classroom, challenging me. And I've always told students I reward those students who challenge me. Now, when I consider the cultural backgrounds of students today, I need to think about students who come from cultures where you do not challenge teachers. There are some cultures like that around the world, where students listen to the teacher. And then I have to think about cultures where it's improper to argue with older people, the elders, and I stand in front of the class, as an elder. So I have to think again, about this idea that, students should challenge what I say. What happens with these students? How do they feel about it? And the temptation to consider students who don't speak as somehow not attentive or not, intelligent, enough, as students who don't have anything to say. We might be grading them in ways which suggest they are not good students. And I think as I approach this coming semester, I will need to keep in mind just, these kinds of things. The quiet students could be, very, very bright. And so how do I navigate these realities? How do I create alternative ways for them to express their knowledge and make sure that, their lack of participation in class is not something that works against them? This is a cultural challenge I want to address, in a particular way, now that I've thought about my principles and I'm approaching, these new realities with a new awareness. It goes to even my writing class. Over the years, I've been teaching my students, how to write well. That's how I put it. I emphasize things like, clarity and precision and getting rid of superfluous words. And I help students to clean up the prose, get rid of superfluous words and be clear and move systematically from one point to another through the paragraphs. So in other words, I have this notion that there is one proper way to write. And that's what we do, encourage, that's what we teach. And that's what conventional scholarship, stands for. And yet, when I think about it in terms of cultural differences in the world, I become very concerned that this might be impositions. In other cultures, things like indirection are valued. You don't speak directly on certain situations, in certain situations. Directness is not necessarily desirable. It is, say, maybe in the Western tradition. But what about students who come from other traditions? So I'm beginning to raise these questions even about my writing class. And yet the world, the way it is, rewards, the kind of writing that I'm teaching in the class. Publications will accept an article if it's written according to these principles that I teach the students. You read the novel like Things Fall Apart, and there's a passage at the beginning about how, communication works among the Igbo people. Proverbs are the palm oil with which words are eaten. So there's a celebration there of a certain kind of speech, which is not direct, but is couched in proverbial language, or involves the use of proverbs. And we don't encourage this. We do not encourage this in formal writing. So this is just a hint, and it suggests that what we teach as conventional wisdom, as the right way to write, could well be a kind of imperialism that we are imposing on other cultures. And this thought already scares me. And so I go back to my original point. I have anxieties as I approach this coming semester. And I know there will be other questions. There are students with disabilities. And I need to be very aware of this. Fortunately, the college where I teach, and I think this is true of American colleges in general, they are very sensitive to these kinds of questions. And therefore, we give students who have disabilities what is called accommodations. And I've learned to be sensitive to these students. They need to be given all the opportunity to perform to their best ability. This one is not difficult. All I need is for the students to tell me that they need accommodation. And the Dean of Students does a good job informing us in advance. And so I'm quite comfortable with this, and I like to be there for the students. But there might be other challenges, and as I keep thinking about them, I'm quite sure I'll make some other videos. So for today, this should be enough. And those of you who want to think along with me, you can visit my YouTube channel. You can subscribe. I've already laid out a few of my ideas about many subjects. And again, I'll talk about teaching another day.